Hey everyone, today, I will teach you all how to complete the mission that is considered to be the most difficult to achieve in modern warships. A lot of people find this mission incredibly difficult, and some even start to suggest to the developers to remove it out from the game. However, it's not that hard, there is just a technique you have to do to easily complete the mission. There might be videos out there that already explain the technique behind it, but I have a couple of tips to share today that could further help you in completing the mission, and these tips might not have been known by a lot of people yet. So without further ado, let's begin. The mission is very clear. It wants us to go into a battle and get 1,500,000 damage points. It's a lot, and you don't always get that amount of damage points in battles, so normally, we'll think that it'll be difficult to achieve. However, once you will know the technique in completing this mission, I can guarantee to all of you guys that it won't be as difficult as we all thought. Before going into a battle to use the technique to get those damage points in the mission, there are a few things you need to know first. These things will be very important later when using the technique in completing the mission. The first thing you have to know is the tier which we'll be playing. There are currently 3 tiers in the game, and if you want to complete this mission, then you must play in Tier 3. It's very important that you have to play in Tier 3 because the ships and weapons in that tier are powerful enough for you to easily get the damage points in the mission. Speaking of ships, there are a couple of specific ships that can make the mission a lot easier to complete, and these ships must be used if you want to easily complete the mission. However, I will only recommend 2 of those ships in this tutorial. The first ship I recommend is the RF Admiral Ushakov. The ship has good durability, great firepower, great air defense, but it has poor maneuverability and poor speed. If you prefer a ship with good maneuverability and good speed, then you'll probably like this second ship. The second ship I recommend is USS Vella Gulf. The ship has good durability, good firepower, great speed, and great maneuverability. The only downside of this ship that I can find is that it's much more expensive than Admiral Ushakov. However, both of their prices are very affordable for a Tier 3 beginner. Also, both ships are very easy to use. So if you're new in Tier 3, these 2 ships are good choices. There are only 2 major game modes in this game, and that's the online mode and offline mode. If we want to complete the mission, then we should play in offline mode. This is simply because the damage points that we need to complete the mission are a lot easier to acquire if you fight against bots. In online mode, it's very difficult to get that damage points because we're fighting with real players, and they all want to get a lot of damage points as well. Lastly, there's a specific map that you must also use if you want to complete the mission, and that's the Arctic map. The Arctic has a lot of good places that we can use for defense and attacking our enemies due to its number of obstacles. This trait of the map will be very important later in completing the mission. I'll first demonstrate the technique using RF Admiral Ushakov, and after that, I'll demonstrate it again using USS Vella Gulf to further prove that the technique really works. After spawning on the map, the first thing you have to do is to check the lineups of both teams. The lineups you should be similar to the match in this video, but if you have lineups similar to this image, do not waste your time completing the mission in that match because the lineups are bad, you'll never be able to complete the mission in that match. The reason why the lineups are bad is that your team is mostly composed of powerful ships, while the enemy team is composed of weak ships. What you should have is the opposite, like the lineups of the match in this video. These lineups will be very important for the next thing you do because the next thing you will do is to use the main technique in completing the mission, and that is simply fighting your opponents only by yourself. You can be on your own by moving your ship at the side of the map, and do not participate in the battle. By doing this, you will feed the enemy team with your bot team, and you will be the only one that will be left behind in your team. This technique helps you in completing the mission by allowing you to get more damage without bots stealing your damage points because bots in the recent versions have gotten much aggressive than before. They've gotten so aggressive that they could finish the match on their own. So if you encounter a match with those bad lineups that I showed earlier, you will not get the damage points in that match because your bot team is using powerful ships which gives them more capability in stealing the damage points you wanted. That's why it's very necessary to pick your lineups. As you guys can see, I headed to the side of the map, and I'm in a much safer position since there are a lot of obstacles covering me. With this amount of obstacles, it also disables bots to support their teammates. So when they meet their opponents, they'll be taken down easily, especially if you follow the lineups that I discussed earlier. These are all the reasons why it's very necessary to play on the Arctic map. When you're hiding on the side of the map while you're letting the rest of your team to die, you must sometimes attack the enemy team, just like what I'm doing in this part of the video. This is because the damage points in the mission are a lot. There might be a chance that you will not get it on time. Just make sure you don't attack them too often. It might help your bot team to turn the tide of the battle to their favor. Once there are only a few bots left in your team, you can begin attacking the enemy team. However, do not sink them immediately, you will use them to farm more damage points. Bots repair themselves when their HP is taken. Let them regain their HP, and then take it again. By doing this, you'll be able to get more damage out from them. Now just repeat this process, and you will certainly be able to get the damage points you needed. As you guys can see, I managed to get the required damage points in this match using the technique, and I even get damage points that are more than what the mission wanted. Now, I'll be demonstrating the technique again using USS Vella Gull. This technique of farming damage points can also be used when you're grinding more dollars in offline mode. You will certainly get a lot of dollars out from it, especially if you have a premium account. Another thing to keep in mind is that you have to utilize all the obstacles around you, and you shouldn't avoid using consumables when you're attacking the entire enemy team on your own. You have to use everything you got to survive. Fighting the entire enemy team is not easy, especially if they're filled with carriers. Bots are quite good at using planes, and if you're targeted by them, you will only last a few seconds. So always make sure to use everything you got. Also, a match with the lineups we're looking for is not something you would immediately get, as offline battles are randomly generated by the game. So if you have other missions that should be completed in a battle, I suggest doing those missions first until you will encounter a match with the lineups we're looking for. In this way, you'll be able to use your time efficiently in completing all your daily missions.
Waterline.
That will be all for today. Hopefully you guys liked and find this tutorial helpful. If you guys truly liked it, please leave a like and subscribe to support me. Thank you so much for watching.